FM.
The Morning Drive, this is Mira Business FM, info@mira.fm to contact us, and whatsapp.mira.fm to message and send any questions or thoughts through to the programme, to the station. Now, this weekend, it's My Plant and Garden Middle East 2025. Now, this is a first of its kind event, I think it's fair to say, the region's premier exhibition for ornamental horticulture, landscaping and sustainable urban development. It's on the 15th to the 17th of November. It's at the Dubai Exhibition Centre at Expo City here. And William Slabbert is the Nursery Manager, Head of Production for Wahat Al Sahraa. That's the Desert Group to you and me. And he joins me in the studio. It's nice to meet you, William.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. So look, big weekend ahead. I want to get to the event in a few moments' time, but I have to start with your career because you are 30 years, is that right? Or let's say a long time rather.
Yeah, 30 years plus.
30 years plus in the art or the practice of garden cultivation and management, horticulture. That's the definition for you. But this is something that you were almost kind of born into. This is more than a passion for you, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So where did it come from?
I was born and bred into plants. I think if you are a plant person, you either are a plant person by nature, or you gravitate into the field.
Right.
But as I was mentioning earlier, when I was 5 years old, the first word was a plant word, and I learned the Latin name from my dear grandmother.
I love that because this is not my son's first word was he was trying to say car and it was adar. Your first word was
Agapanthus.
so for a small child, kind of advanced.
Well,
in some ways,
I think that was down to my grandmother's persistence. So yeah,
brilliant.
But yes. Gardening is a passion of mine. Plants are a passion of mine. Horticulture is a passion of mine. It's just gone from strength to strength over the years. And I've gravitated from one field to another. So I've dabbled in all the aspects of horticulture and nurserymen and nurseries. So yeah, it's been an interesting walk.
It's amazing where the time goes, isn't it? I guess for you, it feels like last week when you started.
It does.
If you love it that much.
It does indeed. You know, I always say when I look at my children, I say, they grow up and we get old. Time stands still when you get older, but you see time moving with your youngsters. But it is what it is.
Is it kind of effortless for you? Because there's that old adage that if you do what you really love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. Does it feel a little bit like that?
Yes, I must agree with you. Because I have a natural affinity to plants, it's, learning botanical names. It's a natural process. It's like a form of osmosis. I'll hear a name and I will just absorb it, and it's not an effort. So it is an effortless process.
Right.
So yes, I do agree with you. It's not something that I'm trying to do because I'm now in a new industry. I wasn't a soccer player, and now I'm a horticulturist. It's something that is ingrained. It's a part of my DNA.
Yeah, it's unusual these days as well, isn't it? I guess, my generation, we're probably, I think, of a similar age. I'm not mentioning ages, don't you, Wade? Relax. But we are. But I grew up at a time when people did one job all their lives. And it's very different now. Yeah. You don't do that. I think in a lot of ways, I feel as though you might think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's fortunate. You're doing what you're supposed to do.
Yes. Coming back to what you just said now about doing different jobs and sort of job hopping, as I just mentioned just now, I have been in different fields in the horticulture industry. Even though it's always been plants, I've been on wholesale production. I've had retail nurseries. I've done landscaping. I've done irrigation. I've done tree surgery. I've even been a botany lecturer for an institute in South Africa. I've even had a business where I ran educational youth camps for school kids. So even though I've had different fields, I would then say I have job hopped, but it's always been in the same field.
Yeah, okay.
It's kept it interesting, and it's added to my CV and my knowledge, and it's those life skills that you pick up over time.
Sure, and building the experience. Look, I come from the UK. Gardens very much part of my kind of childhood, really. Compost heaps were very normal to me. I know composting's a very cool hipster thing to do now.
Indeed.
But I grew up next to a couple who spent most of their life creating the most amazing garden just outside of London in Essex. And it kind of strikes me that part of this is kind of cultural. It's like an English country garden thing. That's a standard phrase that you hear a great deal. But when you look at really elaborate gardens, the Chelsea Flower Show is... Highness Sheikh Zayed was, and still is, under his foundation, an exhibitor at the Chelsea Flower Show. Does amazing things. It's more than just a green space, I think. There's an art to doing this.
There is indeed. And apart from the art, which is the aesthetics part of it, the beautification, it's also functional. So as a city like Dubai and a country like the UAE, coming back to, you were talking about the greening movement here. The old English garden is not really going to work here because of our...
hard to do that.
Hard to do, yeah. We have a climate issue. We have a sand issue. And a lot of plants are, it's not a large selection, a palette of plants that we have here. So, coming back to what you were saying now about all compost heaps and gardens, that's very much the hobbyist or, the avid, you want to give it a go until you can't anymore.
Well, it was recycling before recycling was a thing, because everything would go in there, the potato peel, all of that stuff would go in there, and then it would mulch down over, weeks, months, whatever, and all of a sudden, out come the roses.
Well, as I say, for other countries, that is a natural thing. In this country, there is a large movement now as well, waste to energy, recycling waste to try and get that compost and that organic matter. In a desert country, we do not have access to large amounts of organic matter. So compost here is at a premium. But without compost and having, healthy soil, the plants don't survive. And you can't just bomb them with chemical fertilizers all the time, because that is also going to end badly. So,
for sure.
Yeah,
that's a really interesting point. This is another side to it. I've just done a season of podcasts for the Environment Agency in Abu Dhabi, and it's really all about, a great part of it was the importance of soil.
Yeah.
And I'd never really thought about this, the importance of soil. And I've learned a great deal, but it's an issue here, isn't it? It really is hard.
Well, you mentioned soil. The UAE does not have soil.
Exactly.
It has sand.
Yes.
Sand is not a soil. So it needs to have a whole lot of additives to make it into a soil.
Yep.
It needs clay components, and it needs lots of organic matter. So yes, to have a healthy soil, you need a healthy soil to have healthy plants. So yes.
We're talking to the right man here. Look, green living is a big deal here in the UAE, and we were talking off air just a few moments ago about how I think in many ways underappreciated the work of the municipalities across the Emirates is. If you took a helicopter view of some of the intersections, just the intersections, traffic intersections, and looked at the work that's been done, it's kind of mind-blowing in lots of ways. I want to come back to green living in a moment, William, but just first of all, talk me through the event this weekend, My Plant Garden Middle East. What's going to be happening?
Right. So My Plant, as you did the introduction, is unique. It's the first of its kind here in the UAE. It's been brought across from Italy. And it is basically a B2B, so it's business to business expo. And that basically means it brings together a networking event. So it's more than just a trade fair. It brings all the decision makers and all the role players in the horticulture, the landscaping, the floriculture, the allied trade. The allied trade is your fertilizers, your pots, your packaging, all sorts of things like that. Together with your construction, your building industry. Because in the past, a lot of the greening movement, as you would say, was done in private estates or golf courses. Yeah. And I know here in the UAE, the municipalities have been on board with that. But it's going to the next level. It's making it even more tangible. So this is what the My Plant and Garden Expo is about. It's not just about the home garden. It's about the bigger picture.
Right.
It's about town planning. It's about, investors coming in and, seeing that value of having green corridors and open public spaces, the lungs of a city. I mean, it keeps temperatures down. As I said, it's not only about the aesthetics. Food security on the agricultural side, the hydroponics, the food towers, it's all of that. Various factors that bring it all together. It's not just one thing, because it's a closed system, and plants are more than just what we eat and more than what we just appreciate in a garden.
Well, it's interesting that you say there the lungs of the city, because there is a really noticeable, tangible effect in green areas that, temperatures drop by, I think it's an average of something like 5 degrees.
Yeah, it's about 5-6 degrees,
which is a huge difference when you're looking at the difference between 30 degrees and 24, 25 degrees.
Or more in the UAE, between 50 and 55 degrees.
I wasn't going there, but you're right. I mean, it does make a big difference.
Huge difference. Huge.
So the other thing about this, and I think this is interesting, it is a B2B event, so business to business, but it is also a weekend event, and it is an open event, of course, as well. So I guess it's not just about, bringing business together. It's about being open to the possibilities for the likes of you and me as well. The average punter, if you like.
Yeah, so the average man on the street that is interested in this, I mean, it's an open invitation to everybody to come and actually, see what there is out there. I mean, apart from greenhouse design to new trends in development, what's happening in the nurseries, new plants that we're bringing to market. There's a lot of new species which we're introducing. The landscaping trends, floral trends, new pots, indoor decor. There's so many aspects to it. Whatever your need or desire is going to be available at the show. So, yeah.
One of the things I'm thinking there, when you're talking about all this stuff, and I hadn't really thought of new plants coming in or different types of pots, and it all of a sudden becomes to me, well, I've got a balcony. Where do I start? What do I need to do first? And that I think is quite an interesting point, because what's happened in the UAE in certainly in the last 10, probably 20 years, to be fair, is property has become, we have freehold property. People are coming here. Golden visas mean that people are coming here and settling with family. And I guess open spaces and gardens have become more important. Where do you start when it comes to, you buy your plot, you've got your house, there's an area of sand there. You're looking at it thinking, what do I do? Where do you start with that, apart from going and getting yourself a landscaper, I guess?
Well, for the home gardener and homeowner, so like you've said it now, is to go to get a landscaper. But please just make sure that you get an accredited landscaper and somebody that actually knows their P's from their Q's, because there are a couple of fly-by-nights out there.
Just a couple?
Just a couple, to put it mildly. And so obviously, those are the people, the experts. So if you're ill, you can go to a pharmacy and you can get over-the-counter meds, or if you're really ill, you're going to go to a doctor. So if you're going to go to a landscaper, as I say, just make sure that they have a good track record, and maybe have a look and see other projects that they've done. And this is the same for any development as well. So yes, coming back to that, where you're going to start, it's what your need is. If you're buying a home, do you have dogs? Do you have small children? Do you have teenage children? Do you want an extension of your home as a like a teenager vibe? Do you want a pergola with a little splash pool, or do you want some, astroturf for, your dogs? Or if you've got small kids, do you need shade? Do you need, something like that? So every house, and, will be your niche market based on the need. So that would be your go-to place.
But the key is water, isn't it? Which is, an ever-precious resource, particularly in an environment like this. And I guess, we don't want to be, piling on the DEWA bills, do we? So it's about understanding, how do you water a garden effectively? What kind of system do you put in place for that? These drip systems that you see that the municipality use all the time. Is that easy to do?
Yes and no. If you know what you're doing, anything's easy. But you would want to get an expert in. So basically, coming back, it would start by choosing the correct type of plant for your garden.
Right.
There's a lot of hard landscaping. It's a very hot surface. It obviously absorbs a lot of heat. So you want to have native plants, which are your indigenous plants, which are basically ones that are naturally, attuned to living here. You also have adaptive species, which can also handle the heat.
Okay.
Together with that, you need effective and efficient watering. So, like you've mentioned, the drip irrigation system it's crucial and it's key. But a lot of people will put in a landscape, and then they've got a drip irrigation, and then to avoid the high water bill, they'll let it just run for 5 minutes. You do not get deep root watering out of that. Right. So it's not effective. So your plants are going to go into like water stress, and you're probably going to lose them. Whether they are native or not, they have not established themselves. So once you have an established plant, you can then dial back on the watering.
Okay.
So there is a sort of an understanding of what you need to do. It's that TLC and that maintenance from installation to, I want to say, once the plants become established, and here in the UAE, it's going to take you a good year because we have the harsh summer where we don't really plant. So we plant in the winter months, which is sort of now all the way through to, it can extend to about April. That is when you want to look after your garden. And this is when you're also going to be installing in your gardens. So mulching the soil to keep the moisture in, to avoid evaporation.
Yep.
That is a key thing, and I do not see it being done here enough. It really is not being done enough. Adding compost and organic matter to the soil to retain moisture, that's also not done here enough. That's something that can also help. So there's a lot of real practical things you can do to reduce your water bill, but it's not just about reducing the water bill. It's making sure that your new garden is not under water stress, because your 30, 40 or 50,000 dirhams that you've just spent to have your garden done, within 4 months, you're going to have to basically replace half the plants, which is kind of penny wise and pound foolish, and that doesn't make sense. You need to look after it properly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an investment.
It is. It's a responsibility as well.
Well, if you're spending so much on your garden, you've spent so much on your home, you want to have your investment, which is your garden, looked after and maintained properly.
The passion's coming out. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm swept along with you, William. You mentioned a couple of things there, and I want to go back to plants that you're bringing in.
Yeah.
So I guess you class those as adaptive species.
Adaptive
or potentially.
species, yes.
To talk about those in a moment, but also any, I don't know, landscaping trends. What are you seeing a lot of here that you maybe you like, and what are you seeing a lot of here that you think, I maybe wouldn't do that? Because obviously there are trends that are on trend and those that are off.
The trends here are tricky and are limited with the plant's choice,
Right.
due to the harsh climate. So it's sometimes when I look at landscape designs and the choice of plant, it's the oddest combination. So it's not pleasing to the eye. And that I will then take back to the person that designed it or installed it, did not really have a good grasp of what was possibly out in the market and what is available. It doesn't help that you've got 10 plants and then you just have a design with all 10 plants and you want to have a space with all 10 plants.
Okay.
So in a landscape, and I'm talking about the larger landscape, I'm not talking about the home garden, I'm talking about public open spaces, side of highways, freeways, malls, that type of thing, where you have larger spaces. It's better to have fewer species which look good in summer and winter, so all through the season, so all year round. They don't necessarily have to flower all the time, but there's clean lawns, neat lawns, it makes maintenance easier. Your use of water is also targeted correctly for the species. If you've got 10 different species, they not all necessarily have the same water requirement. So certain parts of the year, you're going to see some of them going dry and crispy, and then they need to be replaced. So it's a multifaceted approach, and it's not an easy, quick fix answer by saying A, B, and C, but it does come back to the beginning. The planning, the basics need to be right. Your fundamentals have to be correct, and going forward for the next 10, 15 years, your life is made easier. And it's always looking good. At the end of the day, that's what a landscape is about, is it needs to look good, not only functional.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I have to say, I wonder how much we appreciate the works that have been done by the municipalities, just in terms of Becker Park, Safford Park, Mushrif Park, for example, which are incredible places, I think. And I wonder how much, in general, we appreciate how incredible, particularly at a time of year like now, these places are.
Yeah. Because now this is where families go out, people can go out. Yeah. You can actually walk outside without melting. So you would then spend your time and your free time going to the parks, enjoying, the trees which are now green and all the flowers that are coming out. And they are, the scents, a lot of the flowers are quite scented, so they've got a beautiful fragrance. A garden with plants, you use all your senses. That's why you have sense gardens and herb gardens. And it's not only for the able people, but,
people of determination. I mean,
there we go.
Yeah.
So I know it's a big thing back in South Africa where there's a lot of touch and feel and smell gardens. Doesn't really be a big thing here, but it plays a part. We do have 5 senses and we use all of them. So
okay. What plants are you bringing in that are different that we're likely to see? And we don't have any examples or samples in the studio, so you're going to have to describe them a little bit as well. What do they look like?
So a lot of the plants which are in the UAE, it's basically their cousins, close cousins.
Okay.
Being adaptive, there are new species that we've tried. I have actually registered 35 new species with MOCA, which is the Ministry of Climate Change and the Environment. Successfully registered, and I'm bringing them in batches, sort of like 6 to 8 plant species at a time. Gotcha. They are under trial at the moment. Some have worked quite successfully in Saudi Arabia, around the Red Sea area, where there was a lot of development there. So I know they work in the GCC countries. But obviously, even though something works in Egypt or in Saudi Arabia, doesn't necessarily mean that it works here.
Right.
So they're all under trial. So at this stage, I can't really reveal exactly which ones we are bringing in.
So you're opening the doors to coming back.
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, so we want to, as Desert Group, we want to be first to market with a few new plants, which we'll probably then launch in 2026.
Okay.
But as I say, some are successful, some are struggling, some are doing really well. Some new ones actually arrived last week. I had 11 species arrive last week that we've planted up. So it's an ongoing process, but it's an exciting process.
I bet it is.
So, yeah.
Well, there's that real sense of achievement when you plant something and it blooms. I've got basil that I plant usually. I'm a sad man. I should get out more, but I do. I like
Planting
doing it.
basil is not sad.
No, it gets used, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's not doing so well at the moment. I'll ask you about that in a moment. Maybe that's an off-air question. I'm not sure. But the point is there's a real sense of achievement when you plant something and you nurture something and it grows and bears fruit or bears flowers. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. I think we are inherently, that was a tongue twister.
We're inherently something, for
there
sure.
There we go, yeah. Connected to nature. We, human beings and the environment, we integrated. So when we see things grow, there is a sense of fulfillment and achievement and a sense of pride. And, whether you're growing veggies and fruit and you eat the end result, you'll grow something. If you buy a house plant and it dies, it's traumatic. You want it to flourish.
You should talk to my wife because she's very good at murdering houseplants.
Oh dear.
I don't quite know how that works.
That's another whole topic. So there are lots of murderers in the world.
Well, the door is open. You're coming back for sure. Let me ask you something. Sustainability is a thing that we all talk about, and it has been a buzz phrase for some time. But sustainable agriculture clearly is front and center, really. You've grown, you've supplied organic greens, herbs to restaurants. You're also speaking at the event this weekend, aren't you? There's a conference on the sustainable future, and I'm wondering, what are you going to be talking about? Is there a theme to your?
Yeah, so my time slot, I'm not actually going to be speaking about the sustainability side of things.
Okay.
What I'm going to be talking about is the bringing in of international live plant trade. So it's trying to get a plant from another country uprooted, uplifted, transported, brought to a new country, and settled here and make him a happy chappy.
Well, it sounds kind of traumatic for the plant.
It's highly traumatic, and a lot of them die. So it is traumatic. So it's a very It's a very technical thing. People think it's easy. Oh, we just import a plant from overseas. We bring it in from Thailand. Well, no, there's a very technical process involved from A to Z. So that is what I'm going to be speaking about this weekend, but not on the sustainable side.
So much to learn. I really do. I had a very quick couple of questions for anybody listening now that's thinking, oh, okay, I could do this. I could give this a go. What's easy to grow here in the UAE? Is there a fail-safe for the new green-fingered types or potential gardeners?
I almost want to say you can't go wrong with the bougainvillea.
Okay, a bit spiky. Unfortunately, but beautiful looking.
Yeah, so, for a garden, bougainvillea can't go wrong. Your plumeria, which is your frangipanis, they also grow very, very well, very easy, and they flower. If you want to go for herbs, rosemary, that is also a
super hardy.
Very, very hardy, and you almost need to be, really determined if you want to kill it. And then your easy, herbs and rocket, and what they call arugula here, and things like celery, things like that, cilantro, all of those. That would be your easy, quick, but that would be seasonal.
Okay,
so that's easy.
It's gergear, isn't it? Rocket gergear is like a similar to rocket, I think. Here,
they've got a couple of different varieties here,
okay.
but arugula is sort of the one term that they use. Yeah, so rocket, wild rocket, they're the two different ones. But for herbs, and if you're an avid, foodie, you have to have that in your home kitchen.
Do you know, I had so many more questions I wanted to get to, and we haven't done any of them. So you're going to have to come back, William. Look, My Plant and Garden Middle East 2025 is on this weekend, 15th, 17th of November at Expo City. William Slabbert is Nursery Manager, Head of Production for Wahat Al Sahraa, which is the desert group. Really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. I enjoyed it.
Appreciate you coming in. This is Mira Business FM.